carefully walked after Hark into the barn. Looking around, he called out, "Mom, are you here?" The two cats looked around cautiously, trying to pick up any sign of movement. Noodle tried to remember what his mother's name was. It was so long ago when she left, but finally he remembered. It was Scarlet, but just as he began to say it out loud, his brother Cattle dropped from the ceiling with a thud. "Well, glad you could make it," Cattle hissed, as Noodle quickly and defensively stood in front of Hark. "Cattle, what is going on?" Harkin hissed as well, ready to pounce at any moment. Cattle let out a chuckle. "Calm down. Mother arrived about an hour ago. She's sick." Noodle's fur stood on edge with every word his brother spoke. "Where is she?" Cattle simply looked over at Hark before looking back over to him. "Don't you think this should just be us?" Noodle felt his heart racing out of his chest. He was so confused and didn't know what was going on. "She's fine. Cattle, come on, where is she?" Cattle simply shook his head. "She just wants to make sure that I'm okay." Harkin sat down, her eyes looking low. "He's right. I can wait here." Finally satisfied with that answer, Cattle turned around. "She's up here," he said before leading Noodle up. "Back there." Noodle took a deep breath. "Okay. Gosh, I'm nervous." Before he tried to groom his cheeks, then taking the brave steps around the crate. "Mom?" His heart immediately dropped when he saw the empty nest. He knew it. "Cattle!" he hissed, looking around for his brother, but it was too late. Cattle was already lunging at him, slamming him to the ground and onto his back. Why are you doing this?" Cattle asked as he struggled and tried to claw at his brother. "You are just so gullible. I almost feel sorry." Noodle used his strength to knock his brother off and puff up. "I'm done with you. I'm done with all this." His head quickly snapped as he heard another cat approaching. It was Hark. "Noodle!" she yowled in fear. "Are you okay?" "Hark, get out of here. It's not safe. Go back to Shadow Clan." But before either of them could turn to leave, Cattle was barreling towards them, knocking them both down in one fell swoop. Noodle's jaw hit the ground hard, and he bit his tongue. "Ah!" he yelled, just as Cattle grabbed Hark by the scruff, pulling her up on one of the crates. "Stop! Please, leave her alone!" Noodle said and tried to get up, but felt so dizzy. He quickly managed to leap onto the windowsill, but Cattle growled, "Stay down, or she gets it." Noodle, terrified, leaped down. Harkin writhed with anger. "Let go!" she shouted, wriggling around, trying to get out of his grip. "He doesn't deserve this." "What do you even want? Why are you doing this?" Noodle continued to ask. "What did I ever do to you?" Noodle simply looked away from him, either not having an answer or simply not wanting to tell him. But Noodle is too furious at this point and leaps up onto the crate, trying to knock his brother off. Cattle stumbled a bit, but mostly regained his balance. The two Toms were now atop the crate. Harkin took the opportunity to leap up, lunging at the Tom's chest. "Wait! Harkin to fall!" He tried to call out, but it was too late. He watched his brother, and then Harkin tumbled off the crate. However, when he leaped down, only Harkin was standing there. His brother continued to fall until he heard a very loud thud. "Kettle!" Noodle screamed. Looking down, he could see his brother laying on the ground, still. Harkin's eyes widened in shock, but she grabbed Noodle and pulled him back from the edge. "Careful." Noodle immediately darted for the quickest and safest way down. "I have to see if he's okay." He approached his brother's body and leaned down, trying to tell if he was breathing. "Cattle?" After a few moments, Cattle's whiskers twitched and his lips curled up with anger. "Cattle, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I asked Mom to go out that day. I didn't know what would happen. You have to believe me." Hark could only look over with soft, sad eyes as she gently placed a paw next to his. "Cattle, please just forgive me." With an ear-shattering yowl, Cattle swung at the cats' faces. Noodle leaped up in shock. Ugh! Thankfully, he only managed to graze Noodle's face, but his wounds from earlier were still bleeding. Harkin quickly stood over Noodle and hissed. Cattle stumbled back, falling over again. Something was wrong. Noodle let out a sigh. "Cattle, please, you're hurt. The clan cats, they can help you." However, Harkin wasn't so accepting. "You utter rat-faced monster," she hissed under her breath, as Cattle tries to stand but finds once more his paws are broken from the fall. Cattle simply hissed, his ears pinned back. Noodle finally looked over at Hark. "Let's just go. If he wants to be a stubborn cat till the end, then fine." The she-cat bit back the boiling anger in her chest, wishing she could claw his sides in. "I know," she sighed, glancing to Noodle. "Let's get you home where it's safe." "It's still your fault," Cattle muttered with a raspy voice. Both of the cats quickly glared and swiped at him, telling him to shut it, before Noodle looked back at Hark. "Let's go. Together." He smiled and she smiled back. Noodle could hear his brother's voice. "She'd still be here." He took a deep breath and kicked the barn door closed as he left with Hark, no longer wanting to think about his brother ever again. "Let's get out of here. For good." Hark nodded slowly. Yeah. She took a deep breath and began to run after Noodle. During their walk back, Noodle couldn't help but think that he needed to talk to Hark before they got to Shadow Clan, and she left again. "Hark, I know you like being a loner, but I'm afraid we won't see each other if I become a full clan cat." Hark looked up and met his gaze. "You want to see me again?" "Of course, Hark. You are the most important cat to me." I mean, I know we haven't known each other very long, but I trust you with my life." Her heart could have bursted in that moment. "You're so sweet." There was a long moment of silence as she debated in her head. But I understand if you need more time. However, he was interrupted. I can try for you. Really? He looked up excitedly, running over and nuzzling her soft fur. She presented a hopeful grin and nuzzled him back. I will. Let's go then. What are we waiting for? We got a clan to join. He purred and started to trot off. Once they entered the camp, she took a shaky breath. Together. Of course, he comforted her. Marblestar was busy, but thankfully he was able to find the deputy, Sandpelt. He explained everything that happened and how they both were here and would like to join the clan. Sandpelt nodded and said that Marblestar would be able to meet with them later today. Well, we would like to join your clan if you'd have us. Of course, I'd be happy to have you. I'll organize a meeting to accept you at once, she purrs excitedly before running off to do just that. The two cats thank her as they look at each other with delight. This was really happening, and Noodle was so happy that he had Hark to be there for him. It wasn't too much longer until Marblestar held the next meeting. All cats old enough to catch their own prey, please gather around the shade rock for a clan meeting. Today, we gather to welcome two new clanmates, Hark and Noodle. Will you two promise to uphold the warrior code and protect this clan with your life? The two cats responded respectively. I do. Of course. Hark, you will hereby be known as Tumbling Sun. The clan all erupted with cheer, and then quieted down as it was Noodle's turn. And Noodle, you will be known as Ashstorm. The clan again all cheered, and Noodle felt such a swell of pride in his new name. After the meeting, he was greeted by all types of clan cats, and one of them even offered to help him get his bandana off, a shy she-cat named Oak Forest. Later, he caught back up with Hark, Tumbling Sun. Hey, sorry that took so long, he chuckled. It's all right, she smiled to him. I never noticed that little patch with your cloth on. Tumbling nodded to his little chest heart. Noodle looked down at his usually all-white neck to see the black fur. Oh, yeah, he chuckled and blushed. Well, I should get some rest before my first patrol, he said, gently brushing past her as he walked into the warrior cat den. Well, I think it's cute, she said as she followed him into the den. Of course, do you mind if I join you? His tail almost stood on end. Cute? Yeah, of course, he said, curling up in an empty nest. Hark was the first to fall asleep. He felt warm and could not help but purr loudly as he also slowly drifted to sleep as the scene fades to white.